License and registration, he can sense your aggravation.
On the head of the fallen angel.
When the world is muttering under the floorboards, stomp even louder.
Time.
Let them know you are alive today.
Or unhum.
Did you know that your hands came with a ripple effect?
Whisper tones unraveling like silk.
Blood, sweat, and tears win by any means poetry.
Sway, look at me. Is a piece of the pie too good for me?
Some may call it rock the mic. We call it poetry.
The bones of our ancestors are rattling in their graves. Winds of unrest that have wrapped themselves around the world now push us to move forward beyond comfort. Our souls step in unified rhythms, marching, calling woke spirits to unite. Shake off yesterday's shackles, both those who bridled and those who broke free. We call all who have been asleep to wake from the no longer looming but all-consuming lethargy, bigotry, sin, and shame, lest we be reduced to shadow and shell. We need justice makers, peacemakers, at least justice seekers, soldiers ready to work, prepared and willing to shake us, wake us, save us from this myopic experience, existing through one platform rather than all. Through our third eye, we see that we are all connected. Our world is one. Our hope is one or none. Wake up. Hello, I'm Sistah Joy, welcoming you to Sojourn with Words. Today, I have the honor of introducing to our Sojourn with Words family an award-winning poet and writer that I met at the Furious Flower Poetry Conference, Remica Bingham-Risher. Remica, welcome to Sojourn with Words.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Joy.
Oh, I'm excited to introduce you to our guests, and I'm sure some may well know your work. So let's let others know a little bit about you. Now, Remica Bingham-Risher is a native of Phoenix, Arizona, and is a Cave Canem fellow and an Afro-Latin poet. Now, we're going to have Remica talk a little bit about just what Afro-Latin poet means. But for now, we're going to go on with the introduction. Her work has been published in the New York Times, the Writers' Chronicle, in Callaloo, and Essence. She is the author of Conversion, Lotus 2006, winner of the Naomi Long Magic Poetry Award. Also, What We Ask of Flesh, Etruscan in 2013, shortlisted for the Hurston Wright Legacy Award, and adapted also into an immersive dance and installation work by In Spirit Dance Company. And and also Starlight and Error, Diode 2017, winner of the Diode Editions Book Award and finalist for the Library of Virginia Book Award. As I said, award-winning poet. Okay, now her memoir, and she's much too young to have done a memoir, but her memoir, Soul Culture, Black Poets, Books, and Questions That Grew Me Up, was published by Beacon Press in 2022. Her newest book, which I have been enjoying, literally transported me back in time, is a work of poems, historical and family photographs from Wesleyan University Press, 2024, and was chosen as an honor poetry book by the Black Caucus of the American Library Association, and won the LA Times Book Prize Oh, she is the Director of Quality Enhancement Plan Initiatives at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia, where she resides with her husband and children. I could go on, but I'm going to stop because we're going to run out of time for this young woman who is going to tell us just what. Well, let's start where we had that first peak of curiosity. Can you tell us, Afro-Latin poet? I've heard of all kinds of poets, but you're the first Afro-Latin poet that I've at least interviewed to my knowledge. What does that mean?
Ooh, what an honor, first of all, to be the first Afro-Latin poet that you've sat with, though you know plenty of Afro-Latin poets because it was a movement started by poets Nikki Finney and Frank X. Walker.
Oh, I know Nikki Finney.
Of course you do.
Of course,
Listen,
yes.
we deeply love the work of Nikki Finney and Frank X. Walker, who, now, decades ago, grew up in Kentucky and South Carolina and parts of the country that were thought of as Appalachia. And we're thinking about the distinct experience of writers of African descent who were also in and of that region that moves from Virginia all the way down through Kentucky and across. And so they started the Afro-Latin Poets, which is a poetry enclave of poets of color in that area. And so it's just kind of a portmanteau, a combination of words, right, of Appalachia and African American poets.
Well, thank you for that clarification. And you're right. We do know probably several, but
you know plenty of the crew.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Now, let's see. You particularly, and I know in this latest book, which, by the way, Room Swept Home, you talk about researching and families and family history. What do you find to be some of the difficulties when you're researching and writing about family history?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, some of the difficulty is the hurry up and wait of it all, right? Because this book in particular, I was writing about two of my grandmothers from opposite sides of the family, one paternal, one maternal, who did not know each other but crossed paths in a strange twist of kismet in 1941 in Petersburg, Virginia. They were within 1 mile of each other. And one, Minnie Folks, my paternal third great grandmother, had been in Petersburg all her life. She was born enslaved in 1859 and was interviewed for the WPA slave narratives. And the other, my maternal grandmother, Mary Knight, was taken to the Central Asylum for the Negro Insane in 1941. After having her first child, she was 18. Postpartum was an ongoing mystery then. And so she endured that experience. And so because that was a health crisis, I had to wait 75 years to even look at those records because of HIPAA laws. So part of the struggle of doing research like this, like I said, is the hurry up and wait of it all. We had inklings, but I didn't have any of the actual physical documents from the hospital. I couldn't do any of the actual research into the background until 75 years after that time. So 2016 was when I actually started doing the research there. And then the other part of it is just the emotional labor. When you're rediscovering unknown family history, much of the book is rooted in trauma. That's why we had to build in so much beauty in other ways, because we knew it was going to be a difficult start. And so that for me was the emotional roller coaster. I tell people I never cried so much writing a book in my office. Right? Because all of these ideas about people that you love deeply and who got you here are welling up inside of me.
Absolutely. Okay, now I guess we'll talk a little bit more specifically delving into that book later. But what are some of your writing influences, whether it be experiences or individuals?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, really, we just mentioned Nikki Finney. She shows up in the book. She's, one of the people who wrote very stridently about grandmothers, about family history early on that I was reading. Lucille Clifton is always an influence for me. Someone who wrote deeply about family and about personal connection to familial ties. There were so many books that I was reading. One book that really, certainly this book couldn't exist in this way without it. Honoré Fanon Jeffers, a brilliant writer who actually has a book of essays that just came out yesterday, Misbehaving at the Crossroads. It was actually a poet first before she was known as a novelist and a prose writer. And she wrote a beautiful book about Phyllis Wheatley that was published with Wesleyan Press some years before Room Swept Home came out. And I understood that Wesleyan would be the place for a book like this because she had a bibliography in the back of a book of poems. And often people think that poetry and research don't go hand in hand. But for me, it is a deep part of my aesthetic. So I understood that, that kind of book would be where I was heading with this work.
I see. Wow. I don't know, when one is about to delve into the waters, as it were, I remember interviewing Natasha Trethewey. And at one point, I literally had to ask the question, did she want me to stop the interview? Because it was so, I mean, her tears were flowing. And I understand that reality, as you even addressed that while you were writing it, you had that experience. But what kind of advice would you give to other writers, especially those interested in the archive? And I let's see, when you say the archive, you're speaking of our history as a people or as a family, or the archive. Yes.
Yeah, and not just ours, but I'm talking about like the broader scope of history, and particularly American history.
Yes.
Natasha Trethewey is one of my teachers, and so her work comes back often in my work.
Yes.
Her work with Native Guard kind of changes the way that I think about everything. I think about form, I think about family and historical labor. And so when I'm thinking about the archive, I'm thinking about the larger American archive, literally in libraries looking through documents. And I say that because, your idea of the African American, our familial archive, it's so small in the traditional historical archive. So, I mean, this is really like digging work. So part of the advice that I give to, folks all the time is to not forget the archives that are in your home and in your backyard. I did lots of interviews with my grandmothers and aunts who the book is dedicated to, the ones who are, still alive and kicking. And so that ethnographic research becomes really important. Also, your family photographs. Natasha Trethewey, if she taught me nothing else, she taught me about the punctum in a photograph, which is kind of the place where your eye catches and it won't release you, right? And so that's why this book also has photographs that kind of help us illuminate part of our history that we might be missing in other forms. And so I always tell writers to think about those points of contact that you have in your own spaces, because when you're looking in the historical archive, much of what you're looking for might be missing.
True. So very true.
Yeah, you're creating the archive yourself.
That's yes, absolutely. And certainly the photographs in Room Swept Sweet Home. Let me get it right. Room Swept Home. And I'll do this so that everybody Room Swept Home is a fabulous book, but the photographs in it, they just pull you in, because you could just imagine, even some of them, it was the question of, oh, this photograph was taken when?
Yeah.
and that's that, when you really let that resonate in your spirit, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so, but well, let me not dwell on my personal tangents. Why do you believe poetry is, well, such a useful medium for historical writing, especially since the most nonfiction is tackled in prose?
That's interesting. For me, I think of myself as a poet first, no matter what. Like you said, the memoir ended up being, something that came out of interviews that I did with poets like Natasha Trethewey and Sonia Sanchez and, other folks that I deeply love. But I think of myself first and foremost and always as a poet. So when I'm thinking about ways to process my own questions about the world, it's usually through poetry. And so for me, I thought it was important, thinking about the archive and thinking about what was missing, that these women who had no voice in the archive were given voices. And so persona poems is a way to do that, to give voice to the voiceless. So I thought if I could tell part of their stories and fill in all of these gaps that would forever be, out in the ether, without, little snippets of family history here and there, and then linked to what was going on in the country, that to me was kind of a really just an important march as part of my journey in the world. I'm always thinking about the elders. I'm always thinking about, the folks that got us here, thinking about your poem, Joy, that you started the show off with. Really, it is our job. It is our work, right? To make sure these voices are heard and remembered.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Well, let's see. Our time is getting away from us, but I got to ask you one more question before we start listening to your actual poetry. But now that you've won the LA Times Book Prize, ooh, and the book has been named an honor book by the Black Caucus of the American Library Association. Yes.
Yes.
Do you feel that its work has been done?
That is a wonderful question. Absolutely not. I feel like those accolades really, really and truly, I can't tell you how much they mean, because it means my grandmothers are seen, right? This is personal in a visceral way, this book for me. So the accolades are wonderful. I get to go hang out with the Black librarians this weekend at the ALA conference. Just the fact that they understand, how much they help us bring to light just by existing is useful. But the work of the book isn't done because the work of reclaiming our history isn't done.
Okay. Well, how about reclaiming our history through the poetry?
Sure.
The incredible Remica Bingham-Risher, poet extraordinaire.
I appreciate you, Joy. So, I'll read just a few of the pieces to kind of talk through some of the stuff that we've touched on here. And I'm trying to read pieces that we haven't read anywhere because so much of this book has been out in the world. So this starts in Minnie Folks in her section, my grandmother, who was born enslaved and lived in Chesterfield on several plantations. But often we don't get to hear, particularly from the children who are on plantations. So this starts with a line that's directly from her WPA slave narrative, and it's in sections, so I'll just read one or two parts. But this is on the plantation, or as some say, down home. 1. We belong to all the families. We the blood and straw, the leaves and iron. Children were everywhere. Everywhere, women governed more, but men were handed the shackle key, the collar. Men died, we went to their women. Daughters, widows, women held the lash. They bartered and owed with us. We changed hands and held. Knee-high and wary, children carried water to the fields, up and down factory rows. Little feet ran from the house just past the trees to family land with folded papers filled with what we didn't know. Little eyes watched the babies who couldn't walk the tobacco haul. Grandmother, mother, all the same. Mother had 15, and all of us sold along with her. Then some sold from under her skirt. Children given one dress or cotton shirt, no shoes, no chair or bench, just a dirt bottom floor in the middle house, where we wore the face we wanted, cloistered there, mass and parcel, from day dark to night. Hot liquor for meals on one corn cake, dried slab bacon on rare occasion, a little shine on the skin, and dreaming, hard, fitful sleep until sun came again. And so I think part of the work as poets is not only giving voice to the voiceless, like, little Black children on the plantation, but also thinking about some of the threads of history that we never get to discuss, like the fact that, women were really the holders of wealth during the period of enslavement. And so often when I was looking through these historical records, the plantation would be named after the husband, but he only had the property because it was inherited from the wife, or, a daughter would have property. And so some of these were things, the dynamics that I think we're missing, that often, give us a direct thread, a direct lineage to much of what we see today. So part of that is the work of the poet, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, give us more. Time is ticking. Give us more.
Give us more. Okay. Let's jump around a little bit. Part of the thing that startled me the most when I was doing research was in this part of Virginia, cotton was not king, as we think about with the enslaved. It was actually tobacco, and many of the enslaved worked in factories. And so part of what historians talk about is the work songs lingering, even in those factories. And so this is a work song. Every day the work is long, but day ain't gonna come, we gonna rise. Everything we built, everything we watered, pretty, pretty in its own time. The womb is a garden, the seeds are the body, my hands in the land, my hands in the sea. Flood water come, leave God's children hand over fist, making their own wings. Every hand you see is turning, every head a heavy weight, itching and a burning, steady growing its own face. The palm is burning, an itch means luck. Pinch a nickel, save $1. If it's growing, lightning struck. Sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes level with the ground, but journey people always own the wind, run with the moon, ride the clouds. What can I grow? I grow what I can. Gonna rest my body soon. Gonna steal some sun, gonna see my baby, give sugar in a silver spoon.
All right. All right. All right. All right.
And maybe time for one or two more.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we'll switch gears a little bit because those were both my grandmother Minnie's kind of memories that I'm piecing together. And so on the other side of the book is my grandmother Mary Knight, who was sent to the Central Lunatic Asylum for the colored insane. It went through various names, so you hear me refer to it differently. But this is a poem about that institution. It was founded in 1870, so just kind of 5 years after emancipation. And I think part of the poem explains maybe why folks thought that some folks were acting a little bit outside their mind. Central Lunatic Asylum for the Colored Insane, founded in Petersburg, Virginia. Your countrymen have settled a place for you. We have seen you beside yourselves, speaking freely, walking in our paths, and know this insolence could not be intentional. Some have wandered in the mind from birth. Others stumbled upon this sickness, perhaps not at their own hand, but the land is full of you, shadows of an old desire, denizens. Only a cruel God would leave you without hope, living unregarded, vagrant on the street. Here, we offer a respite and warm bed. You'll arrive someone else, and when you go, carry a clear head. So, of course, some of this is kind of tongue in cheek, right? Makes you think about, the way that people imagined they were helping, and maybe not so much so. I'll read another poem about my grandmother, Mary.
Okay, we've got about 5 more minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes, perfect. I'll read these 2 short ones. I'll end with that one that kind of talks about the question that you asked me. So, my grandmother, much of her life was spent as a faith walk. Both of these were really faithful women. They were also gardeners. They were also mothers who raised lots of daughters. And so, I think about my grandmother who always taught us about the resurrection. And so this is a poem that I wrote in her voice. And I imagine this is what she was saying to us after she passed. There's going to be a resurrection of both the righteous and unrighteous. I'm poor and near twilight, a blue hour. Some white folks see me. Some Black folks hold me. Every place I've been, we're tethered. And the large army of women, blood but different, each a crest and current, infinite. Grandmother went mad. Her mother wasn't free. Bondage is abundant. It colors us. My daughters, they love and cut up and worry. I anchor them. We stay in stitches. We falter. God is in the wreckage. God is the water, the oars, the lighthouse. I preach to everyone I can. I hold God in me. I hold light and lightning. I'm a rod, a conductor. I'm devoted. Long after I die, there will still be crying. The land is no sanctuary. I am like most mothers. I color all the corners. I'm coming back. Be ready. Maybe one final piece. You know, you asked me what it was like and some of the difficulties of writing your own family history. And I think part of the difficulty is just not knowing that the voices are going to be a gift to you and a burden to you. So some of that, you know, comes back, I think, in this poem that starts with a line from an old etiquette book that was out in the 1800s. The domestic who is the bearer of the present, the domestic here being the poet that's got to do the work. The hungers who birthed me wait to be resurrected, come back famished in dreams. They leap and dance, call for water, warble on with insistence, skin my back, skin my knees. There is no outgrowing them. Faces like petals, fingers like vines, hair full with silken wool, mouths like waiting fruit. Everything we bury comes back again, or we grieve the upturned plot and count it ruined. Oh, fateful slave, what am I becoming? You are a tender whip, wound in me. You push into my side with your insatiable demands. Bring us back. Say we lived. If God couldn't help you, who can? Oh, burden living, riveted and riven by the dead. Love is a debt we must repay. Call out to them if you are worn sick. Oh, Master, oh, Maker. Aren't you finished yet? Thank y'all.
Oh, Ashe, my sister, Ashe.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for blessing us. For those that joined late, we are being blessed by the incomparable Remica Bingham-Risher. Her poems that she has been sharing today come from this incredible book. Yes, Room Swept Home. And it is an award-winning book. It is one that I highly, highly recommend. Literally, I met Remica at the Furious Flower Poetry Conference in Virginia. And this is a conference that happens only once every 10 years.
Yeah.
I cannot help but to believe that it was destiny that brought us together. So it is my honor and privilege that today she has been our special guest poet. And we look forward to when future opportunities arise that we can collaborate or support one another, or at least even publicize from afar. Hey, you gotta go. So I am Sistah Joy, your host here on Sojourn with Words. I know well, this episode is going to air significantly later than the occasion that we're recording, but my shirt represents.
Come on.
Yes,
This
is the season that we're in.
Free-ish, I love it.
So I knew that, this all worked out fortuitously, not planned by me at all. The stars aligned. So
Wow.
Remica, thank you so much. Sojourn with Words family, thank you for being with us. Remember, be in touch at sistahjoy.com. We would love to hear from you. If you know of other poets, I don't know that you'll find too many at this level, but if you know of other poets that we should be featuring here on Sojourn with Words, let us know. Right here on CTV out of Largo, Maryland in Prince George's County. Thank you so much for viewing, and Remica, thank you for being our special guest.